my mother was showing me that she opened a banana that she thinks that these are not real bananas. We got it from the supermarket, but when she opens it and she breaks it in half, it gets very tough and doesn't really break. And when it pulls, it's like it's glue. It's very tight and doughy. I've never ever seen a banana like that. I don't know if it's just our banana or if it's this brand
from Costco.
From Costco, but at the end of the day, it looks very, very fake and Play-Doh-y. Does anyone else know what happened?
Patrick Mahomes theory. Patrick Mahomes' dad, dark-skinned man, get with a white woman, then create athletic kids, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Very fair-skinned man gets with white woman. Boom. And then now look at his kids. His kids look completely white. And what are those kids more likely to align themselves with? Other white people. And so now we just took away our talent in millions of generational millions and gave it back to the white community.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
Doing so bad?
Because we do not worship God in our own image and likeness. You're not supposed to worship other people's images. It's the first commandment in the Bible. I don't know how they do this, but they do it. You know God's name really, and it's not yours? How did you manage to do that? You don't know your name, but you know God's name.
So that's the root of all this confusion?
Of all of this, yes. Where are the African gods? Did they leave us on our journey over here? Where are the African gods? Will we know them when they suddenly appear? The ones dismissed with voodoo, rock and roll, and all that jazz, and jungle mumbo jumbo, and razzmatazz. Where are the African gods who live within the skin? Within the skin, without the skin, and in the skin again. Do they hide among the shadows while we stumble on the way?
Always say, like, yeah, before we came to America, when we came to America, the slaves couldn't read or write. Well, yeah, duh, we couldn't read or write English because we spoke Hebrew. Like, there's evidence in certain churches within the South that as they had slaves in the churches, they were literally writing messages and notes to each other in Hebrew. Right. So, of course, we couldn't read or write. We couldn't read or write English. You ever notice how, like, they never say what language we spoke when they brought the slaves over? They make it seem like as if, like, we had literally no language, you know, when they brought us over. There's no, they never put that out. They never say which language we spoke. That's because we spoke Hebrew.
If not thousands of illegal migrants line up outside the New York City Hall to demand more luxury hotels and benefits. Let's get into this video. These motherfuckers deep too.
What's going on here? What is
I'm talking about they determined. And what's so fucked up, these councilmen and shit like that, they gonna make sure that these people straight, but they ain't making sure the United States citizens straight.
What are you guys doing?
What the fuck is really going on?
Why are you guys in line here?
I'm talking about they ain't even speaking back to the lady. She keep on trying to say, man, I don't give a fuck about that. They trying to make sure that they straight around it. They trying to demand what the fuck they want to demand it. It look like they attempting to take over New York. But hey, y'all tell me what y'all think and how y'all feel in the comment section. Like, follow, and share for more content.
We did explore how people felt about AI generated
Spit it out,
content.
human. I'm all ears. Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Yes, okay. So,
Mummies found in America in this time frame by a gigantic margin than there are in Europe or Egypt. In fact, the Smithsonian was caught stealing mummies from Colorado and shipping them to Europe. And the deeper you go, the crazier the things they find. 17 miles northeast of Manchester is a prehistoric cavern in which wonderful discoveries have lately been made. They're on a farmer's land in Ohio. The ground shapes downward into this weird depression in his land. What they find when they remove the rocks covering the bottom of this depression is a tunnel into a underground tomb. It contains 9 chambers or rooms. They find a well in one of these chambers, and 45 feet from the top of that well, they found the entrance to a second cavern, which proved to be the family tomb of a race of gigantic men.
Yeah, it's insane. Even a single human statue, if you asked anybody on the street, has that ever been found in America, they'd probably say no.
That's getting ready to retire, that's going to try to live off $2,000 to $3,000. Impossible. It's impossible. Because what happens, it comes up here, we spend it. We're $35 trillion in debt. We don't have any money. We're dead broke. And then taxpayers have $2 trillion in credit card debt. We are in huge trouble. In this body, we had better start figuring that out, because we're going to have a run on this city here soon, and there's going to be about 150 million people coming up here saying, where's our damn money that we paid in? I could have put my Social Security money 40 years in tax in the market and probably be worth 8 to 10 million today. But the federal government wasted it. So I'll get off my horse there. But it's good that we have this, because we got, I get a little pension check from education. I was part of a union. It's not going to help people. People are going to have to continue to work longer and longer. Am I right, Ms. Ginger? Can you say something about Social Security and it being taxed for some reason? We're taxing people for the second time on the Social Security that they put into an account.
Yeah, and I'd like to point out when Social Security was first founded, those who established it, it was started out as a 2% tax, and they said this will never take more than 6% of your income. Today it takes 12.4%. And depending on whether you go with CBO or Social Security trustees, it needs to take between 15.8 and 17.5%. So we're talking about thousands of dollars more per year. It also was actually only originally recommended that the tax be up to $66,000, equivalent in today's dollars of earnings. But over time, it has expanded massively, and the money has been spent every year. So whereas everybody thinks this money's been set aside for me, no, for the past 13 years, every dollar that has gone out of workers' paychecks has gone immediately to pay promised benefits. And that's what happens when you have a system that enables those in charge of it to spend the money in the immediate term and leave the buck to the next generation that's coming along. And because Social Security has grown so much, it's actually to the detriment of lower income workers in particular, who have to pay such a large share of their paycheck to Social Security. They have little left to save for retirement. And then lower income and African American workers have the lowest life expectancies. So they are the most likely to get nothing back in return. 1 out of 4 African American men will die between the ages of 45 and 64 after having paid into this system for decades, tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they might get nothing back.
What's the solution?
I think we ultimately have to shift towards a universal benefit system. That's what true social insurance is. It does not make sense that we are paying the biggest benefits to the highest income earners. So gradually over time, I think we need to bend down the benefits for the middle and upper income earners, actually increase them for the lower income earners. Look at things like indexing retirement age to life expectancy, more accurate inflation index. And I think that workers need an option to have their money in something that actually earns a positive rate of return and that can't just immediately be spent by Congress.
I have a 28 and 29-year-old, 2 boys, got a job, working hard, paying Social Security. They ask me all the time, Dad, will I ever see any of that money? Will they see it?
I think they will see some of it. That's the exact same thing I hear whenever I ask a group of younger workers, and none of them raises their hand. So I think that there will be something there, but it's not going to be what has been promised.
Mr. Stevens, you got anything to add to that?
Thank you, Senator. What I would add is when we talk about Social Security or we talk about pensions, the two things that they both have in common is that guaranteed income. You know what you're going to get, generally speaking, at the end of it. What I reference in terms of protected retirement, we have developed now solutions that get at both of those in a very efficient way, and they also address the issue around market volatility because we have step-ups and lock-ins, and it's a very efficient way to deliver that to millions of Americans that we've been talking, and that's all because of what you all did around Secure Act 1.0 and 2.0. They have put us in a position to do that, and that's why I'm really encouraging us to have every 401k plan, 457 plan, 403b plan at least one of those solutions so that the American workers can choose. If they want to know what they're going to get in retirement, we can deliver that for them.
Young people of all ages ask me, why can't we put our money in our own 401k instead of put it in Social Security? Is there an answer to that?
I think what I love is that they're asking the right question. Savings in any way is a good thing, and I think there's a place for Social Security, there's a place for pensions, and there's certainly a place for what we're doing in 401k plans.
Thank you.
Senator Hassan.
This is all a scam.
Augusta, Georgia, the old castle. They said 1888. This is a Moorish castle. See, the Maseratis was here. See the free energy right here, Moorish, Moroccan, right here. The Moors was here in Augusta, Georgia. Right here in Augusta, Georgia. Old castle off the banks of the river here. Augusta. See the Moorish royalty on the structure. Right here, you see the Maseratis. Some of them disrepair or taken down. There was a copper, and brass, and silver and gold. See the Maseratis, the old Moorish castle in Augusta, Georgia. It's in disrepair and blocked off, so you won't be able to see it. Over here, another Moorish building that they're tearing apart, trying to figure out how did we do it years ago. Right here in Augusta, Georgia, where you see the old castle with the Maseratis on top of it. Right here, they took the moons off, but this is where the Maserati stood. Get free energy. Right here, the Moorish castle, Moroccan, maroons. Right here in Augusta, Georgia. Built over 600 years ago. You can see the design. Negroid characteristics on the coat of arms on both sides of the structure. Right here, the Maseratis. Moorish castle here in Augusta, Georgia.
Black person, I'm not trying to climb the ladder to get to where the higher white people are. That's our problem as black people. When I got black people with the slave mentality coming up like, no, we need to work hard. They're holding us back. They don't want us up there. Bro, I don't want to be up there with them. Do you see the horrible shit they do up there? I don't want to be up there with them.
Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the black proponents of Cop City in Atlanta's leadership class. Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the black woman's hand, ambassador at the UN, voting against a ceasefire in Gaza.
think the best for him is to put it back on him and learn to be accountable. I get it.
Blushing. And if you look at Justin Bieber as a kid and Rain as a kid, they look exactly the same. Because that's supposed to be Scott Disick's son. Yeah, Scott's Disick's son. Yeah. But it doesn't look like Scott, and Scott even notices.
Did you know Scott asked Kourtney for a paternity test of their last child, and Kourtney firmly refused? Shocking, right? Well, if you have been following the Kardashian clan long enough, you will know that it is no secret that Scott Disick has always doubted that Kourtney's third child, Rain, is his. And after much speculation, the truth about who the real father of the 9-year-old boy is finally coming to light. And as you have all suspected, Justin Bieber might be the real father. How could that be possible, you might ask? But if you look closely at the relationship between Justin and the Kardashian family, it is not so surprising that he might have an offspring there, albeit a secret one, with Kourtney Kardashian. But how did this all happen? When did they hook up and make a baby? Well, it all started with Kim Kardashian's little wish to see 14-year-old Kendall Jenner get together with then 16-year-old Justin.
Met Justin Bieber at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C. I think actually before that I had said in an interview that I wanted to set him up with my sister, Kendall, who's 14, and then he had responded in an interview saying that no, he didn't want to be hooked up with my sister, he liked me, or something just silly like that. It was a joke.
Kim made it look like it was just simply dating, but fans obviously knew that it was all Kim and Kris's grand plan to suck Justin in, so that he could skyrocket Kendall's up-and-coming modeling career and keep the family relevant. And boy, did Justin work to keep that family in the news. Like, he literally has a thing with each and every member of Kardashian-Jenner family. Not a single one is out of the equation. Not even their mother, Kris Jenner. That is so weird. It is just a lot to think he was rumored to be dating Kylie. And then there was also all that steamy talk with someone that sounded like Kendall.
You turn on right now. Are you? Yeah, I'm turned on. How come? Because you're sitting right there with me. Oh.
But none of them ended up with a baby for him until it was Kourtney's turn. See, Kourtney wasn't giving enough to the show at that time. Basically, she was losing popularity. Her relationship with Scott was over, and she became, what's that word? Yes, boring. So, what was the best way to get her in the news again and make her relevant? Ha! Yes, Justin Bieber to the rescue. It is hilarious because Justin knew he was being used and was more than happy to play the role of a celebrity savior.
Justin Bieber, 21, getting ego boost from romancing hot mom Kourtney Kardashian, 36, and doesn't care he's being used to hurt Scott Disick.
You're being used, dude.
I'm being used, man. What can I say?
Yes. Anything there? Nothing?
We'll leave it at that.
Okay, I see the look.
But to think they would even have a relationship is the oddest thing ever, given that Kourtney is like 15 years older than Justin. Apparently, age is just a number for these ones. Multiple sources claim they had been seeing each other before officially stepping out as a couple in October 2000.
What it's been like to wear this character for this long.
No, I can only...
That shit he does is a character. Actually, the shit he does online is the best acting he does.
Is he speaking truth?
Of course he is.
Oof. You know? We seen Quiet on set.
Major pain in his ass. Literally. Since he was a kid.
Man.
And then eating milk, running the fuck around, talking about expensive pain
now,
in his ass.
Wait, this is Philly you're talking about now. Wait a minute, Jack.
Fuck me.
Wait a minute.
He's a fucking Fruit Loop. He Diddy-fied.
This is Philly.
He's a deep-fried period. He Diddy-fied. He Diddy-fried. He the Diddy do-I-bop. Fuck me. Real rap.
You think that audio that they put out was real?
Yeah, that was him. Nicki put that out there. That Nicki recorded that at the freak off in the Calabasas. Man. She been waiting to drop that shit on Meek. Oh, man. She just wasn't going to tell nobody it was Diddy. But now that Diddy out there, why not?
So then who's the guy who's claiming he recorded it?
Oh,
The
somebody that got
bouncer.
paid?
Yeah, he said like I was
Yeah,
standing
he's somebody
outside the
that
door.
got paid.
Yeah.
Just like it wasn't seminal fluid that Justin Bieber was wiping away from his mouth when he brought his face up from Odell Beckham's groin in a club with Trey Songz on the lookout.
The images are there.
Diddy-fied. Hashtag no Diddy.
Hashtag no Diddy.
No Diddy.
Do you have any views on Usher? Because a lot of things have come back to where
Usher.
they talk about his.
Usher, I'm tired of Usher.
Oh, okay.
Goofy bitch.
No.
Got your asshole ripped open and the only thing it inspired was loyalty? They ripped your ass open.
I cannot keep this to myself any longer. I am not supposed to make you aware of this, but I can't keep this to myself any longer because it is quite disturbing. So, I want each and every one of you guys seeing this video to stop for 1 second in your day and listen, especially if you are American or you live in America. Understand this right now so that you are not caught off guard and you can see what's happening before it happens. I want you to see the big picture. So I'm going to tell you something to help you see the big picture. We are in the year 2024. This is supposed to be an election year. I want to ask you one question. Where's the campaign? Who's campaigning for president? Do you guys remember the last election year? Didn't you see people flying, that they're riding around with their flags on their car of whoever was running for president? So we're in an election year and no one is really campaigning. Why is that? Now, this should not come as a shock to you, but the ones who know already know. But are you paying attention? Where is the campaigning? Think about that. Let me know in the comment section if you actually know what's happening, and think about what just happened in Israel. Where's the campaign? Will there really be? I'll stop there. I'm out.
Foil hat fact of the day. Did you know that the majority of your internet comes from a cable underneath the ocean and not a satellite in the sky?
Nope.
Do research.
99%.
99%.
Told you. And this government of Biden's of today, they have record breaking of having 6 Native Americans were elected to Congress. Okay? So ask yourself this question. These are the people that call themselves natives of today. They don't look shit like us. They don't look nothing like the ancestors. If the ancestors would have walked the earth today, let's just say our ancestors wake up one day and walk out and come out of the grave and start walking out. And these people are going to say, oh, daddy, great daddy. You think he's going to look at them like, the first thing he's going to ask is, I need to see DNA. This is why I always told them. This is one of the things I always told them, because they love seeing the shit at us. Like, oh, man, take the DNA test. I always got one answer to this. And I always am hoping people have the same answer too. I always told them the obvious that we all know. Why would you ask for a DNA? It's only one reason you're going to ask for a DNA. We have regular folks out here that just have kids. The only time you ask for a DNA is the child don't look like the mother, the child don't look like no sexy, the child don't look like the father. So I don't see myself in this kid. So I got to make sure that now since you don't look like me, maybe you have some of my blood in you. That's why I gotta ask for DNA. So now these folks are the first groups of people, the way they look, our ancestor will be the first to ask them, I need to see DNA. Because you don't look shit like us. These are foreign people. And we're going to have a lot of other people going to think. So you really think they call us the children of the sun. So you think these people are children of the sun? They can't even think the sun. The sun's going to harm them. They're going to have skin cancer. How do you think these folks happen to be so-called native looking like this? It's impossible. But hey, that's the game they've been playing. Psychological warfare. The game of title. You have a corrupt government that violates all the treaties and actually taking our rights and re-educate everything, flip the story from even the map, because America's not the West. America's the East. We are in the whole East.
You know what? I thought I wanted reparations. Nah, I don't want your money. I don't want this US dollar that's crashing. I don't want it. You're gonna give it to me when the dollar ain't worth shit. Then we're gonna have all this money and can't do nothing with it. Nah, I don't want reparations. I want my motherfucking planet back. I want the whole thing. Fuck $1 million. No, I want my fucking planet. I want it all the way back. I don't give a fuck where you go. Give me my fucking planet back. Fuck reparations. I want my planet. How about that? Get my planet.
People. I just made gave a whole rant about how this morning I woke up and the first thing I saw was the Rick Ross response to the beef, and then I finally played back the beef, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm up to date. But then I was looking for the Iranian strike on Israel, and I couldn't find it. It came up. Eventually I understood what happened with the Iranian strike on Israel and whether it really sparked, a regional or world dispute. So I got that, and that was kind of important since it could spark a world war, and it should be in the top of the news. But still, the most important thing in the news is the beef. And I was saying that I walked Biggie to his car the day he was killed. And that experience was, I got home, and I got a phone call from Mike Concepcion. I was in LA. We went to that party that you've all read about. I walked him to his car. The only time I ever really hung out with him, And I walked into his car, I went home, and Mike Concepcion called me and told me he had been killed. The next day, we had a meeting at Minister Farrakhan's house. Not the next day I called, and we set up a meeting, and we had a meeting where East and West came together at Minister Farrakhan's house, and that kind of stopped the war. It's all documented. But it was a big deal because people were dying, right? And, Biggie and Tupac were dead. And rap beef escalated to that. A lot of other people died too, they're just not as famous. So here we are today, and there's rap beef, and it's the biggest thing in the news. But I want to just say how powerful they are, the rappers. They're so powerful that they came together and they said we wanted equal high quality education. The American government would figure out a way to do it. They all went to Trump tomorrow and said, we want you to figure out how to pay for equal high quality education for every American. It would be part of his campaign. And we could probably push him to do it. The same for sure with Joe Biden. He's more likely to try. I mean, it would be as big as AIPAC. I don't know. We could push him to do something so meaningful about healthcare, about education, about all of the things that matter to black people. Just rappers alone could spark the dialogue big enough and create a dialogue big enough and a demand big enough that our American government would deliver for us equal high quality education, or health care that's equivalent to the health care in every other developed country in this world. But instead we are beefing. I'm all for entertainment, but it's not their fault that they're bigger than our congressmen, that they're more important than our senators, and that their words carry more weight than our leadership. I remember Malcolm X said that it was a shame that we lived in a world where entertainers and only black people had entertainers as leaders. Well, that was designed to be such a, so when Farrakhan put those entertainers in a room, when I had that summit, and all of the rappers came, every New York City candidate for mayor came, the head of the NAACP, Kwame Nkrumah, the head of the Urban League, all of the councilmen who were interested in that group, supporting them, they all showed up. And he told them they weren't gangsters, but that the government, in fact, was gangster, and they should curb their words. And a lot of them really took that to heart and did something. And we did do things. Again, we changed the Rockefeller drug laws. We got thousands of people out of jail. We got hundreds of millions of dollars put in the education budget. We did something. The Hip Hop Summit was successful. Not in the way we would hope, but certainly today, where is the communication amongst rappers that has to do with lifting our people? Not their job. They didn't ask for this power. They asked for power over people to buy their records and power over people to love them as music artists and poets. But unfortunately, we need them to say something else together. It would spark a revolution. And I just wanted to get that out. I said it and I erased it by mistake, but I'm saying it again. I said I walked Biggie to his car, and I felt that night his death. I felt I must have been involved in saving the lives of God knows how many rappers. I solved so many rap beef behind the scenes. I saw that. It was not nearly as big, the beefs. Even though they were in the cover of Vibe magazine, they weren't as traveled as we are today with social media. Enough so that we smother the potential for world war. We all should have been sitting on not worried so much because life is about moving forward, but we should be aware of the things like the attack from Iran to Israel could spark a world war, and we should know about that more than we should the lyrics of Drake's diss. Just my opinion, and I hope that someone listens and some young. Is the NAACP still, I don't know, but Kwame Nkrumah was the head of the NAACP. He sat in the front row when Farrakhan addressed rappers. Whether you like Farrakhan or not, all of the mayoral candidates, 5, 2 Jewish ones, Bloomberg and others, came to that summit just to pay homage to the power of hip-hop. And then hip-hop did exude some power, like I said, and changed some things. And they still have the power. In fact, their power is so pop, so mainstream, that they can do much more than they were able to do before. And I hope that someone, Birdman, one of the older statesmen who is still very involved, Jay-Z and Rock Nation, so many powerful hip-hop figures who are still in the game and still have relationships with across the board with hip-hop. Those people could really, if they wanted, create something, a vehicle where the power of hip-hop is harnessed and used in the way we tried to use it years ago. Don't let it get away. It's really, really useful to the black community because we need voices that will spur more voices that will create the revolutions to save us from, God knows, they're tearing apart whatever we built. Any affirmative action, any of the things that we fought for are being taken from us. Hip-hop could protect us. It could also create new vehicles for the betterment of humanity. That's it. What about the Hip-Hop Caucus? I haven't been in touch with them, the Reverend who ran it, but he's not moving Drake. It's just when we had Jay-Z and Puffy and whoever else, what there was so many. Eminem people all showed up. Everybody showed up to see Farrakhan. And it was scary. The mainstream media was afraid. Well, they carried it, but his ability to push people, if he would decide to speak about the factory farming industry, if the collective hip-hop spoke about the poisoning of our communities, they'd bear down on the questions that matter. Why does, and I thought about this one, why does McDonald's have 19 ingredients in the American French fry and 3 oil, salt, and potato in the British one, because the American government allows for such foolery to go on. Hip-hop could change the food we eat. Hip-hop could change the level of education we get. Hip-hop could change the level of health care we get. They can't do it alone. They can do it because they can create such a revolution amongst people that politicians would have no choice but to listen. I don't know who the leader is, who will step up, and who has the power to do, to organize them, but it would take a lot of, not so much work, I guess. Just get one star who has the voice. J. Cole, maybe. Somebody. All right, namaste, yogis, that's it.
Through a hole that I don't know who made this hole in this wall. That's how they got us out. They took us out through a hole, through the wall, to safety. As they were taking me out, but before that, this big giant police officer came to me. And he says, you have to run. I said, I can't run, my knees are swollen. He said, you're gonna have to get on your knees and crawl in. He said, because we have reports of more explosions. And that's when I started crawling. And I saw this guy fall behind me, and his comrades came to his aid.
So you ain't black. This nigga say he ain't black, bro.
Why you taking picture?
You black, man. You can't be nothing else. You black, ain't it? You black as hell. You know you.